In this week's episode of The Enthusiast, new comics merchandise galore is coming for Phantom fans to get excited about, and heaps more in this week's episode of The Enthusiast.
1, 2, 3, 4!
This week, few publications will be releasing The Phantom, The Links in the Chain, a brand new sequel to the original Falk and Barry story, The Missing Link. It has also been pointed out by Terry Cray on Facebook that he noticed in the comic book, and I'll be showing the comic right now because I have it this week, and I will be showing the comic right now, and it is just beautiful. It is beautiful, and the cover art for this week's comic, it has been done by the very talented cover artist called Ivan Rodriguez. It is an amazing cover. No words in the existence of the English language can explain how this cover is so damn good. Only one word can explain this, and this is just, it is just wow. It is a massive wow from me, and maybe this will be in the 2022 edition of the top 10 best Phantom comics of 2022, published by a few publications. Also, Terry Cray on Facebook noticed that this week's Phantom comic said the price has increased to $5.20. Thank you, Terry, for pointing this out to Phantom fans who are and probably are going to be purchasing this comic book from few publications or from their news agency. So thank you, Terry, for noticing that and recognizing that and letting all the Phantom fans know that the price increase has officially changed on this latest comic, which is The Links in the Chain. And this week in the few publications news, last week we had Giant Size Phantom number 23 come out last week, and it is just beautiful. And last week's Giant Size Phantom comic is a tribute. It is a tribute to John Nixon. It is the John Nixon special, and just as a side fact, the first John Nixon special that was published by a few publications was done back in issue number 14 of the series, and the only character that is missing from the current issue is the Phantom Ranger. This is a great book. I've already looked through a few of the pages. I've already read a few of the pages, and it is a great book. And now let's get back into the news on The Enthusiast. Coming up on this week's show, in the merchandise news this week, new pre-orders are being taken for a new Phantom mug. I talked to Wulfric Media's new Kickstarter campaign. It is called the Phantom Country Map. In the creator news this week, Joan Boyce shows off a new Phantom art page, possibly from a new story that he's working on. Paul Mason wins the Stanley Award, Comic Book Artist of the Year, and yes, the Phantom Never Dies podcast featuring Maria Lewis wins an award for the best audio non-fiction at the 55th Annual Australian Writers Guild. In the publisher news this week, Regal Publishers to release their next lot of Phantom comics this week. Zubiston Comics in Germany will be publishing their issue number 4 in 4 weeks. Yes, 4 weeks. And new Phantom and Comics Galore is coming this week, so stay tuned. And the new news segment is back. It's the saga of the 21st Phantom, Danger, Action in the Rogue Nation. In this week's merchandise news, pre-orders have been put out for the brand new Phantom mug. Yes, you heard me right. A new Phantom mug is coming to stores, and Phantom fans will be able to purchase, and the pre-orders will start to be shipped out in March of 2023. Pre-orders are now available at the website, the Australian website and shop, Pop-Cultha. You can now pre-order the mug by going to www.popculture.com.au/the Phantom, the Ghost Who Walks 3D sculpted mug .html. I will also have the link to the pre-order where you can find the mug, and if you would like to purchase, the link will be in the description of this video as well. This week I talked to Wulfric Media about having an exclusive chat about their new Kickstarter campaign that has launched. The interview will be playing right now. Today on the Enthusiast, I am talking to the one and only Wulfric Media about his current Kickstarter project, the Phantom's Map. It is one of Wulfric Media's latest projects he is working on, and he's joining us on this week's episode of the Enthusiast. How's it going, Wulfric? How's it going?
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, it's going well, getting a bit of interest, not as much as we would have liked, but I think that's generally due to current economic situation. But I mean, basically all we need is people who are interested in it. Doesn't matter what they contribute, every little bit helps.
Yeah.
And we can hopefully get this out for people in the future. So fingers crossed, if everyone likes it and they want to contribute, they can message me on Facebook, or get me at wulfricmedia@outlook.com.
And we will be putting all the information to Wulfric's social media pages, including his Facebook page and contact information down in the description down below. And we start off with question number one. With your new Kickstarter that you have started, could you please tell us a little bit about the new Kickstarter and how fans of the Phantom can get involved with the Kickstarter campaign?
Well, the Kickstarter that we've got is at the moment for the 10 miniatures for the landscape of the Phantom map. So we've got the Skull Cave, Phantom Peak, the Jungle Patrol headquarters. We've got 10 of them there. They are quite varied. Kilauea, Isle of Eden, Misty Mountains, Emperor Junka's Palace in there as well. So there are varying levels that they can have. One is just the miniature itself. If they've got their own paint, they can get the miniatures and paints and artwork from Glenn Ford as well. That's a poster. That's sort of like a colour guide for them. Or they can get the miniature hand painted by Jackson Price Maxwell down out of Wagga. He's been doing it for 3 years, and they can have a look at the end results on our Facebook page and on the Kickstarter itself.
Rightio. Yeah, I think this project, because this project hasn't really been done before, I haven't seen anything like it from when I've been following the Phantom since 2016. I haven't heard anything about it, and it's great that new things are coming out for Phantom fans, that if they want to buy it, they can, and there's opportunities to do so.
Yeah, well, when we started doing this, would be about 2018, I think we started trying to get it together. We've been speaking to King Features Syndicate about it, getting the license for it, and they had never heard of anything similar to it as well. I think most ones that you get would be a poster of it.
Yeah.
So
like
but this is
dimensional.
Yeah, but now with 3D printing, we can get some very detailed miniatures for it. And if we get enough interest in it, we'll do the map for it as well. But we need some funding, and we need the fans to get behind it, because there is a lot of expense involved in setting this up. We've got the artwork from Glenn Ford. We then have to convert that artwork to posters and to a three-dimensional 3D print. And then we have to get that painted by Jackson as well to, show what the end result's going to be. We're also going to have videos on our website that the fans who want to try and paint it themselves can follow along on the videos.
Yeah,
and
like
then they can
tutorials and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely for each one. What we're also aiming to do with the map is to have the entire 120 tribes of the Phantom on there. So we're looking at a very detailed, lots of imagery on there.
Yeah.
Literally, you would be able to follow the trails of the Phantom around as he's going from tribe to tribe and from place to place, and you'd know where these are.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly large map. It's 75 centimeters by 45. So that's going to come out in 15 different tiles that you can put together and then put the miniatures on top of them as well.
Yeah, I think because obviously Wagga is what I live in Tamworth, so it's a good plus 3 hours away from me. Been going through the floods as well, and and all that sort of stuff with the climate and all that sort of stuff. There's another town that is getting on the news right now, and it's called Forbes. So yeah, it's know Wagga pretty well, sorta.
Yeah. No, well, Jackson's been doing this for 3 years. It's a business he started. He's got a lot of interest in it. If you look at our Facebook page, you can see the detail that he goes into. And he's very excited about doing this. Has been very gracious with his time as well.
Yeah.
So we've sort of outlined what we can do. He'll be putting together the paint kits for the listeners who get on the Kickstarter. So you've got the option of either buying the paints themselves, or there's the cost for him to do the painting for you, and that cost portion goes directly to him.
Yeah.
Like he's costing it $40 an hour for his time, which that's including the materials as well.
Yeah.
So it's well worth it getting it from him as well. So we'll ship them down to him, or he'll just print them out directly. But if you're wanting to go down that option, it will take time because, if we get this thing fully funded, there's quite a lot of miniatures that need to be done. So it will take some time to get those out.
Very time consuming. Our second question this week is, in the second reward on your Kickstarter, the price of $65 only gets a customer one of 2 3D printed miniatures, either Skull Cave or the Phantom's Head, and artworks corresponding to the miniature with a set of 4 paints. If it seems like the customer is, I think, be getting little for what they're paying for, and with the month of May 2023 being only months away, do you think you will be able to get everything made before then and out to fans by May?
Well, that's our aim. We've got the first 2 versions of the artwork done already. There's pretty quick return that we've got there. The 2 posters that we've got a company in New South Wales that can do the artwork for us, and that artwork's going to have Glenn Ford's signature digitally put on there.
That's pretty cool.
So, I mean, people saying, $65, it's a lot, but there's nothing like this out there at the start. We've got a lot of setup costs, and people going, oh, we got to make profit. There's not that much profit in there. The paints themselves, a lot of setup costs that we need to send out the paints from SMS or Scale Model Society. They're down in Sydney as well. As much as we're trying to use Australian companies and Australian products to get these out to the customers. I mean, the Phantom is Australia's adopted superhero. We've got some of the biggest readerships in the world. Exactly. Yes, there you go. I think we're second or third behind Sweden and Norway. They've got some of the bigger ones. But this is something that I think I've actually got that issue. It's something that it's very unique. It's never been done for any other franchise at all. So we're wanting to try and get something that is going to raise the profile of the Phantom, put him back up in that pantheon of superheroes with something that is totally unique and has never been done before.
Yeah, trying to get the Phantom somewhere near Batman or Superman and all that sort of stuff.
Well, if you've listened to the podcast that Maria Lewis did, The Phantom Never Dies,
Yeah,
the Phantom was actually the inspiration for Batman. Bob Kane has said that. Even Phantom Cave, Batcave. You know, it's the similarities there are astounding, and how people haven't picked up on it before, I don't know.
I listened to a couple of those episodes of her podcast, and they were they were quite insightful and they were quite interesting to listen to. And our third question is, if your current Kickstarter campaign gets funded, fans can have a 3D version of the Phantom's country map. What are you wanting to make next in the years to come?
Well, anyone that has asked me, companies like us only survive because of the
Yeah,
fans. Like a lot of people have liked it. They said, "Wow, this is amazing." Well, we need the backers.
yeah.
If people go, "Oh, well, it didn't happen," yeah, well, if you had backed it, it
It
will
may have
happen. Like,
happened.
yeah, well, this is the thing. It will happen.
Yeah,
That's the thing. But we need the fans backing to get these things out here. The costs when it comes to licensing fees, people's time, their efforts. A lot of people say, well, it's a piece of plastics and paints and a piece of paper.
yeah,
Okay, if you want to go down that track, the Phantom comic is 32 pages, black and white. That's it, 32, well, it's probably 18 pages or 16 pages, black and white, both sides. That's all it is. But
yeah,
it is the storyline, it is the artistic ability,
yeah,
their intellectual property that they've gone into and made and put behind. That's what makes it worth so much. And the fan following. Same thing with this. We're so lucky to have Glenn Ford come on board with this. Everyone that we've asked about it has come on board, and this is a fantastic idea for us to get from up here to out to down on the table. We need the fans to back it, and with that, we've got ideas that can last us for the next 5 years. But it's just stuff that fans have to back and say, "Yep, we like this. We need it to happen." So if that happens, yeah, we will get this thing funded. Not a problem.
So, if you're a Phantom fan and you're wanting this campaign to be something of where you can look at into the future and say, yes, I got that. I supported that campaign and I supported that Kickstarter, and you would like
Yep.
to have a 3D Phantom version of the Phantom's country in your collection, then this is a great opportunity. It's a great thing to support, and you can find all the information in this interview, and you can also find all the information on their Kickstarter campaign site where all the information is. And now we're going to be getting into question 4. It is, with the current Kickstarter, will you be posting packaged 3D versions of the maps overseas for Phantom fans wanting to purchase for their own collections?
Definitely, definitely. We've got interest from Ireland. We've got interest from USA, all around Australia. So, we've shipped stuff to Norway. It's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
But there is only going to be 20,000 copies of this. That's it. We're not going to do any more. If they want to get on board, and this is the other thing with one of the rewards that people may not be aware, the top 3 levels, you get your name on the back of the Phantom map.
Yeah.
So for generations to come, I haven't heard that somewhere before, but for generations to come, your name will be forever associated with the Phantom. So, the true fans out there, there's only 10 of the top level tier, which is the whole 10 miniatures, hand painted with personally signed artwork of Glenn Ford and an original piece of artwork with your name on the back of the Phantom map. There's 4 of those been taken up. So there's only 6 left. So if they want to get in, we've got 15 days left of the Kickstarter. I'm really hoping this happens and gets out there really quickly and get this one done. So each miniature is going to be boxed up with what the piece is inside with artwork on the front. So they're going to know what it is. The sizes of each individual miniature is about 6 centimeters on the base, 4 centimeters high and about 2 centimeters deep. That's for the Phantom Peak. So they're all going to be that size minimum.
Yeah.
Once we get all 10 of them done, we'll see, do they need to be a little bit larger given the size of the map?
Yeah.
So we don't want them too large that it costs too much.
Yeah.
We don't want them too small that it's insignificant on the map either. So, yeah.
You don't want a figurine or something that's going on the map that is either so small that you can barely see it, or too big that it's going to cost too much, and then it may impact future projects being launched.
Exactly. And we don't want the map to be cluttered either.
Yeah.
Like there is a version of the map on our Kickstarter. So if fans want to go to the Kickstarter, have a look. That's the version of the map. Like we're looking at an old pirate style map on there. So there are going to be a few other things that we're going to be offer. Like once people have bought everything, we're hoping to send those out free of charge to the clients. If we get enough interest behind this, there is a surprise hidden behind all that stuff, but we need the fans to get in there. So realistically, we're not asking a lot of fans. 5,000 fans from Australia, 5,000 from Europe, 5,000 from America, 5,000 from Asia. That's it, and it's done. But we only need, like, with our levels that we've got, I think we need about 650 people to back the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
With all the tiers filled, and then we're right to go. But if we can get above that and we get more people interested in it, we will develop the map at the same time.
Yeah.
So if we can get that extension, say up to, like, yes, we are asking for 90. If we can get up to, say, 100, 110, then we'll develop the map at the same time and they'll be available for purchase as well.
This has been a great talk with you, and it's been a great, insightful conversation. And our last and final question is, what is your main inspiration for wanting to make some pretty cool things for fans of the Phantom? What is your main inspiration that you would love to make something that you've dreamed of for many, many years, and you'd like to see fans, and you'd like to see it in other fans' collections?
Well, when we started doing this, the Phantom was an obvious choice because it was the first superhero that I liked. My grandfather introduced me to it, and I just loved the story. I loved the history. There was no other superhero with that kind of background at the time, and it was just something that I got really interested in. Fans will know our Jungle Patrol caps and beanies. They're another unique option, which is bits of merchandise that don't have the Phantom directly on it.
Yeah.
There's only the Phantom's good mark, and everything's tapped Jungle Patrol.
Yeah.
We're looking at unique lines that can go to a different side. Like Marvel's been doing, the Stark Industries, what do they call it? Internship program. And you can buy those on a water bottle. And I thought that was pretty cool. And that was like, okay, well, no one's done Jungle Patrol yet. We had a good run of those. They are still available if fans want to buy them. We have got 3 styles of the beanie. So we've got the polar fleece, we've got a surface beanie, and we've got like a wood lumberjack type beanie. So they're still available for clients to purchase. We'll ship those ones out to them. But we do need a minimum order quantity of 25 to keep the costs down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not feasible for us to do it. So coming up to summer, if people want to, the cap, please put in their orders for them now. We'll probably get them out January, given the time frame for us to get them in. If they're in the Northern Hemisphere and they want the beanie to keep their head warm, we haven't had any complaints from the beanies. People love them. They're of high quality. Again, put their order in. We can get those ones done for them. Probably be around late December, January by the time the mail goes out.
Yep.
So if fans get behind it, we want to try and get a Jungle Patrol jacket out as well. Yep. Same sort of styling. We've got other options that we've got coming out in the future, but it's just, I think the individual thing for the Phantom, there's just so much that you can expand on. There's so much that needs to be done, I think, to bring the Phantom's exposure back to where it was. I think at its heyday, it was 110 million people were reading the Phantom. So, if we can get back to that heyday, then maybe we'll get the rest of the trilogy of the movies, Yeah. Billy Zane was great.
I always think right now you don't really see much of the Phantom in stores, and you don't really see much happening with movies and TV shows, and you don't really have people in this generation sometimes not want to read a comic book because maybe they're not interested in it, or maybe because they're on their phone or something, like other things are distracting from their lives. And how many people do actually go into their local news agency and purchase a magazine or comic book or even a newspaper? When I was getting into the Phantom in 2016, the news agency was the place where I discovered the Phantom.
Yep.
And you don't see many people going directly to the comic book section of the news agency.
And the comic book section in the news agencies is getting smaller and smaller. Exactly. You used to have 40, 50 titles in there.
Yeah.
Now you're lucky to get 4 or 5, if that. And they're just not the mainstays that people are buying. And people have to go to specialist comic book stores to get their hit or do a subscription for it.
Yeah.
So that's making it a bit harder, I think, for the exposure. But it's just something I've always been passionate about. Comic books I'm a huge pop culture fan. And we're all about putting out quality products. Like, our rings aren't 2 sizes, they're whatever your size is.
Yeah.
We've got the Jungle Patrol necklace, or the Good Mark necklace. For people to say, it's a bit expensive, but it's a handmade sterling silver product. We're not doing pewter, we're doing high quality hand finished products.
It's something that if you're buying it for yourself, it can be passed on to other people. And the love of the Phantom, as everyone says, the love of the Phantom gets passed on to every other generation when you possibly buy the Phantom.
That's it. I mean, like the Phantom, the Good Mark necklace, it's small enough that it's not too bulky for females to wear. So, I know there are a lot of female readers out there that they can wear the Phantom Good Mark necklace. Like Carlisle's Mark, it's a perfect example. That was the inspiration of it. It's just something that they can wear, and it's, there's a lot of fans out there that are wearing Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows necklaces. So, we're doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah. If fans wanted to message you about the project, where can they find you, lastly? And thank you, Wulfric Media, for this insightful conversation. I hope all things go well for your current Kickstarter and future ideas.
Well, they can message us on Facebook. or they can email us Wulfric Media at outlook.com. So WULFRIC Media at outlook.com. I generally get back to the customers within 24 hours at maximum. But pretty much it's unless I'm asleep, based in Queensland, unless I'm asleep, I'll pretty much answer them straight away. So look, more than happy to answer any questions that the fans can put our way, and if they can get behind us, we'll get this out by May.
Thank you, Wulfric Media, for joining us on this week's episode of The Enthusiast.
This week in the creator Phantom artist extraordinaire, Paul Mason has won a prestigious award at the Australian Cartoonists Association Conference and the 38th Annual Stanley Awards. Yes, Paul Mason has officially won the prestigious Stanley Award, and that was done in Coffs Harbour. So congratulations, Paul Mason, for all the achievements you have been getting through this year and all the stories and artworks that have been published by few publications. Joan Boyd has recently shown a Phantom comic book page on a Phantom group this week on Facebook. Will this page be from a new story? We'll just have to find out and wait to see. And in other creator news this week, the Phantom Never Dies podcast by Nova Podcasts, and created by Maria Lewis, Elise Cooper and Adrian Walton, has received an award. And it is a great podcast. And if you have just come in late, if you haven't heard of this podcast, give it a watch. I recommend it. And has won an award at the Best Audio Non-Fiction at the 55th Annual Australian Writers Guild. So congratulations, Maria Lewis and the team, for firstly making this podcast and actually getting it through to production and into post, and then allowing fans to indulge on the Phantom and allowing new fans to discuss and explore the character and the stories that are told with the character. This week in the publisher news, Regal Publishers are going to be soon releasing 2 brand new Phantom comics in India. Also this week, the German Phantom publisher, yes, Silverstone Comics, is coming back in 4 weeks' time with a new issue. The issue number is number 4 of their comic book series, and it is very exciting news for fans that live in Germany, and they're able to now either discover new stories or old stories that maybe they haven't read for a long time. And now, yes, we have our latest, newest news segment. The saga of the 21st Phantom. Danger. Action in the Rogue Nation. On Monday and Tuesday, we saw that the Phantom is hoping he can come out the other side of this Moz prophecy. But can hope save him from this adventure, or is the Phantom doubting himself that he is maybe thinking that maybe at the end of this saga, I will not be around. could be in the Skull Cave with my ancestors. And as the Phantom is doubting himself and thinking it will happen, will it happen the same way as fate foretells it? In many decades, and in the stories of Lee Fawkes, the Phantom stories, as fans, if you have read a lot of Lee Fawkes content and a lot of Lee Fawkes stories, then as a reader, the Phantom has an attitude that tells the reader he is fearless, a mysterious ghost who is in the shadows of the underworld as a hero to disrupt and destroy criminal activities. When taking criminals, he has a line of comedy, action, and danger in confidence. For example, the Phantom is rough
on roughnecks. An old jungle saying. And in the last few years, it feels like the Phantom, for some reason, has lost his confidence. And or has Tony DePaul been changing him slightly last couple of years? What are your thoughts on maybe Tony DePaul slightly changing the Phantom? And on Thursday of last week, the Phantom says, and I quote it, as two lighted windows, just as Moz said. He's seen what I am seeing for the first time. Uncanny old man, he's right about the bullet too, isn't he? Wow, wow, wow. This is just, as this has shown, this has just been another showing as to spec whether the Phantom lives to tell the tale, and I'm still staying by my point I made, and I'm still considering this point, is that the 22nd the 22nd generation of the Phantom's line is coming, and it could be coming faster than we think. On Monday the 21st this week of November, the Phantom has laid out some flares, and he is saying, let's stick with what works, devil. Does this mean that because he's going to be sticking with what works, does that mean that the same events as what has been foretold in the Moz prophecy could still happen? And let's also remember that the last time the Phantom got out alive was with the death of Diana Walker. Diana Walker, in the story, he saves her from rotting in a prison inside the Rogue Nation, and that this same prison would have changed certain things about how they operate, but definitely not how they treat their people in their prisons. And on Tuesday, the Phantom Daily Strip and the rest of this week, it will be getting very interesting with what happens for the rest of this week and the next. Is it going to come thick and fast, or does the Phantom's destiny with fate change for the better? We will just have to wait and see to see what happens in the coming weeks and the rest of this week. You can now follow us on our socials on Instagram at Phantom Cave Reviews and on Facebook at Phantom Cave. If you would like to subscribe to the Phantom Cave Reviews YouTube channel, you can do so if you want to on YouTube. And will you be supporting the new Kickstarter? And if you have any further questions about the Kickstarter, I will then forward them on to the guys at Wulfric Media, and I will get back to you with their answers if there is any. And as always, keep Phantom Caving, and on Monday, I will be having a grand Season 2 finale of The Enthusiast. So if you're thinking of having a bit of it, then Phantom Cave Reviews on YouTube is the place to be as we count down and the finale to the second season of The Enthusiast. Until next time, keep Phantom Caving.